Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is a KV-220-2. It's a Tier 5 Soviet premium heavy tank. It's located on the south spawn of Himmelsdorf and it's under the command of graldebarantauro of the FYD clan. Game on! Well, this is the tank that was the precursor to the KV-3. It was actually an extended version of the KV-1 and it's only armed with a 76mm main gun, so it's limited in the amount of damage it can actually do to just 110 alpha with 99mm pen with standard AP, and with the premium APCR it goes up to 121. But basically it's a tier 7 hull with a tier 5 turret, but it's actually at tier 5, so it does give this tank quite an advantage. And if the enemy knows that the turret is the weak spot, they'll aim for that alone. If they don't know that, they'll aim for the hull, and if they do aim for the hull, they will miss and they will get blocked shots. And that's mainly down to the fact that the armor is very thick. You can see already he's blocked 3 shots and got 1 penetration on Type 95. And again, the 76mm is the same gun that was initially given to the KV-1 and is reasonably powerful. Of course, if you're going to hit the strong points on an enemy tank, you might need to use that APCR. In fact, he's going to use the APCR because he's got a 121mm pen, and now he's got 2 Rex, which he can use as cover, whilst our T1 Heavy goes in. So we're distracting that KV-1. Now we can hit him in the engine bay, potentially get a fire to kill him. The T1 Heavy was very smart to get in there, and he actually didn't get the kill, but we did. And now that B1's in a lot of trouble. Although he's angling very well to block the shots that are coming in, he can't stop them all. And in fact, our T1 is now on fire, or was on fire, and we've decided to turn around and deal with the KV-1SA, who's actually behind us. Yep, the B1 didn't die. In fact, our teammate in the T1 did, but we got the kill. So that's 3 kills now for graldebarantauro. Now the KV-1SA is just around the corner, and he's the auto reloader version of the KV-1. But remember, we've got better armor than him, so when we side scrape like this, he's going to hit hard armor, and we're going to hit things which can go be penetrated. Well, he's blocked a couple of shots, but that one actually did hit the turret. He is now still firing AP. No, he did fire a couple of APCRs actually at us, but now he's dealing with our teammate in the DW2, who's very good on armor, but the kill shot goes to the DW2. Now, this T-34 and an M10 RBFM managed to get behind us, so we're going to turn around and deal with these guys. He's the first one in. It's going to be easy to deal with the T-34. He just doesn't have the armor, and we can bully him. He's out the game. We've blocked his shot. Now there is a Cruiser Mark IV, and we can take him out as well, because of course again he's got no armor to deal with our armor. We're tier 7 armor on a tier 5 tank. It's basically that the front and the rear of a KV-220-2 are much stronger than the KV-1. They just added extra armor onto it. It's still basically the same platform as a KV-1. That cruiser needs to watch out, yes. He's still going to get chased down eventually. Now the enemy was in our cap area, but of course they've been dealt with. There is an enemy tank down there at this moment, but he won't last very long. And now we're after the T1 Heavy, who's over in the railway yards. Now there were 2 of these built, as far as we're aware, 2 prototypes, known as the T220 originally, but they had actually 100mm of armor, whereas the T150, which was the other alternate prototype, that had 90mm of extra armor. So your standard KV-1 had a certain amount of armor. I think it was 70 millimeters, and then this one had 100 and the T150 90. Okay, he's waiting for one of the enemies to come back. There is an enemy tank up on the hill, a looks, and he could come back and give us a reset, in which case he will probably pick up a defender medal, but we haven't seen him. In fact, we can see him now. He's still up on the hill, and he's not bothering to come down. In fact, I think he's trying to shoot from up there. Oh, we actually fired up there, but we've capped out, and that's the end of the game. Here's the end of battle results. That was the first class tanker for graldebarantauro of the FYD clan in the KV-220-2. A tank that you can take out and block a huge number of shots if you've got a blocking mission. He managed to get a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. In fact, he ended up getting 5, 1/3 of the enemy team, and 1 short of getting a top gun. He got a shell proof for blocking more damage, exceeding the hit points of his own vehicle and surviving the battle. A duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of your own vehicle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, in fact he got 8, and he got the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and a steel wall for blocking the most damage in that game, at least 11 hits, over 1,000 hit points of damage. And the win rate was 6,154, which is super unicum and a lot more. Let's have a look at team score. Well, we can see that the highest damage in that game actually turned out to be, yes, graldebarantauro. 1,962 went to him. The second highest was, in fact, the KV-1 on the enemy team, 1,386. And the third highest damage, well, actually went to the Panzer IV Aslains H on our own team, 1,070. When it came to kills, again, graldebarantauro got that with 5 kills. 3 kills went to the M4A1, and 2 kills went to our M8A1, and the enemy's KV-1 and T-34. When it came to base XP, graldebarantauro got that one as well. He got 1,345 base experience points, the only player to get over 1,000 base, with the second place going to the Panzer IV Aslains H, and third place going to the M4A1. There must have been bots that are showing down here, which were not showing up during the game. Well, rather they were in the game, but obviously I wasn't commenting on that at the time. graldebarantauro is, I believe, on the South America server, so obviously they have fewer players. That's why they do get bots sometimes in the day. Let's have a look at the detail. Well, he fired 30 rounds with 76mm ammunition. He got 23 direct hits on the enemy, but only 19 penetrations. Yes, some of the shells would have actually hit armor that was just too strong for it to get through. 1,962 hit points, all of it fired at close range. 20 hits received from the enemy, only 4 of which actually penetrated, 16 non-penetrations, and 1,350 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 6 of the enemy, killed 5, and did 62 capture points in the cap, so missed out on getting an invader medal. On a free-to-play account, he actually made a profit of 27,712 credits from the game, and he also took away 3,048 experience points out of that one as well. This was the final mission he required to get the Jason, or the tier 10 discount, I believe it is, and the Jason character, so you can actually put that in your crew, this Jason Statham character. In fact, actually, I think I've done it on all of my missions, all of my accounts, except one at the moment. I think still got that one to do before the weekend to get it done. But yes, it's if you want to block damage, this is one of the tanks that you can easily do it in. And it's surprising because so few people realize that it's the turret you aim for, not the hull. Most people, standard-wise, will actually aim for the lower plate of the hull, or they'll aim for the weak spots, such as that bar that runs along the front of the vehicle where the driver's ports and the machine gun ports are. You shouldn't do that on a KV-220-2 because that's where they've input the enhanced armor. to prevent these tanks from being destroyed. It was a Tier 7 design, but it just never got implemented. They built 2 of the vehicles, in fact, 2 of each, the T150 and the KV-220-2, and they sent them out into battle. And if I remember correctly, the KV-220-2s were destroyed. Both of them were destroyed in December of 1941. The T150s, which is, of course, a Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank, their fate was unknown. We don't know where they ended up, but we do know that the KV-220-2s didn't survive. But that may have been down to the fact that this was a tank that was treated just like any other KV-1, and the enemy knew where to hit the vehicle. And of course, they aimed for the turret, which was a Tier 5 turret. That is, it's one of the original KV-1 design turrets that they plonked on top of a hull that was basically an original KV-1 hull, but it had extra armor on it. That's all. And so the Germans knew how to eliminate this tank, and they did so. Whereas with the T150s, well, we've no idea what happened to those. So they may have blown up, or they may have been fallen into a swamp. Tanks are still being found in swamps all over Russia. Because, of course, remember, Russia is a very swampy country. They have a lot of rivers, and although some of those rivers do lead out to the sea, a lot of them actually end up in ponds and swamps. And tanks actually did fall into these swamps whilst they were in action. And when they did, then they couldn't recover them. They certainly couldn't do so during combat. So they would just, the crew would abandon the tank in the swamp and go and get another one. Hopefully they will be given another one and not put up against the wall and shot. But tankers are actually in such high demand, that experienced tankers at that they didn't tend to fire them. They didn't tend to shoot them. And they didn't blame them for losing the tank unless they knew that the tank was abandoned and was damaged deliberately, in which case then obviously there would have been an inquiry. But certainly I've heard or recall hearing that the Soviets were such dire need of tankers, because of course all their tankers had to be small people as well, because the insides of these tanks were very confined. And they couldn't have big people, so they had to have small people. And there's only a limited number of small people available to fit inside these tanks. So in the end, if you did get somebody trained to operate a tank, you didn't dispose of them by putting them up against the wall and shooting them. You actually gave them another tank and sent them out again. And hopefully they did not come back again and say, oh, I've lost that one as well. But certainly the Americans, tankers, they lost tanks as well. And they actually, some tank crews went through 3, 4, or even 5 sets of tanks in their lifetime. But of course, the Americans had plenty to spare. So even if they lost the tank and it was drowned or it was damaged beyond repair, they would just be given a new one and sent out into action again. And they didn't mind. They wanted to have a new tank so they could do that. In fact, of course, the person who actually was responsible for the Pools medal, Lafayette Pool, he actually did go through a number of tanks, a number of M4s before he got to the model that he liked, which of course was the M4 with the 76mm gun. And when he really liked that one, he really enjoyed it. And that's when he started getting huge numbers of kills, including 4 Tiger tanks that were actually loaded onto a train, so they really couldn't fight back. But he wiped them all out, and he also wiped out quite a few Panther tanks as well. Hope you enjoyed this replay. A nice ace tank. Oh, no, ace tanker. It's a first-class tanker, high caliber, and a steel wall from graldebarantauro of the FYD clan. It was basically just locate as many of the enemy as he could and just get as much damage as possible. I suspect as well he was probably blocking damage as well to complete his mission. If you enjoyed this replay, please give it a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.